What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Apex, the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, we have ourselves a very good show for you guys here today. Enoch, first time ever going into any pro setting challenger circuit. We'll talk to him about that in just a moment. We also got day 4 of ALGS to talk about. We also have some news, some weird LFTs already in the season. This is like our first major LFT. We'll get to that in just a moment as well. And then we have a banger interview with Preslyy, who just won the very first challenger circuit. He is going to be locked in for the qualifier for Split 2. We talked to him about that, his team, all of that. It is just a fantastic episode from top to bottom, but let's kick it off. E, how are you feeling, my man?
I'm feeling good. Definitely not the desired outcome on our finals day, as we did place 18th and just had a rough series of games. But you know, we got a bad day out of the way. It's our first finals lobby. I mean, the fact that we got to that lobby when there are teams that have been playing together and scrimming together, like borderline almost every day for months leading up to this. And the fact that we walked in, no practice, no scrims, we didn't even have an IGL. And we were able to squeak by and make our way into finals. Our quarters finals, which was my first time playing, because I did not play in any of the matches on Saturday. So I hopped in on Sunday. We had our quarters, which we played phenomenally. I believe we were first in our group, and the boys were shooting. And then we squeaked by in 9th place in our semis. And then our finals just did not go the way that we wanted. But it happens. Learning lesson. And I'm feeling good because, I mean, we're only going to get better and better as a team. And Morbid, who ended up picking up our IGL role, he's only going to get better and better and better as not only him learning the game from a where are the right spots to play and like having the confidence in those spots, but really working as like a leader, being able to get us behind him and stepping up and being a little bit more vocal. And so I got an incredibly talented group of individuals that I get the pleasure of playing with, and every time we play, we have fun. And so I think there's been a few people who have been asking like, oh, are you going to keep playing, or is that what your last CC run? It's like, what do you mean last run? Like, we're doing this for content. When I found out that if we won, that we weren't able to play, I was like, boys, we're shooting for a top 5. And we were far from a top 5. Don't get it twisted. But the boys get to play again. And so it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking like everything about it, I think is going to be good. And we're going to be starting out this new season. We're going to be grinding a lot together, getting a lot of time in, figuring out this new season, figuring out this new meta, how we want to play, what we're going to do. And Morbid is the sub for Oversleepers. And so he's been able to get like a few reps in with them during scrims, filling in. And that's been able to help him from an IGL perspective, be able to learn more. And so, dude, like, you could say like, oh, you guys placed 18th, like you guys are bad. And it's like, okay, well, hold up. SSG placed like 16th their first day of Pro League. And guess what? They came back and they won a day or two after that. So like, yeah, we had a rough day. It was not a good day at the office. But we got some fire games coming up from the squad because the boys are sturdy. And once we get a little bit more comfortable in those lobbies, figure it out a little bit, get a little more comfortable in those late games, it's just gonna be wraps.
I don't even know why you're even thinking about that. I mean, maybe it's just what people are saying to you, but dude, you were frying. And we already talked to Preslyy about this.
Dude,
like the fact that you made a finals you were pissing on people.
I was pissing on anybody that I got the chance to actually like look at and have a fight against. They were getting body bagged.
There's clips like, because we just started the Apex the podcast Twitch channel, had our very first 2 streams, both of which we were watching Enoch, also going over some VOD review for ALGS Day 4 and just watching ALGS Day 4. So if you want to check that out, we're on Twitch now, the Apex the Podcast Twitch channel. I am there.
Might make a guest appearance.
He did already.
Might keep on. I know, and that's what I'm saying. Like he might make another one, and if he keeps on doing it, we might have to just force him to come on the pod.
Yeah, no, I've been in talks about.
You've been whispering in that ear.
I've been whispering. I've been doing my best. It hasn't worked. It hasn't worked yet, but I'm gonna keep doing it. But there were clips where we were all watching you, and audibly, I'm just like out of nowhere. It was insane. Like you were playing really well. Like I said, Preslyy already said in this interview coming up that a lot of people don't even make finals on their first run. You guys made the finals on your first run, not to mention the major thing being you don't play Saturdays, so you guys have another fill-in coming in, helping you guys get to that spot. The team, this is actually like a sports team here. Like this is a legit team environment going on with the Wendy's 4for4s right now, which by the way is the team name. Love that as well. Like the Wendy 4for4s, you guys are on a different planet. There is not a better story, in my opinion. I may be biased in Challenger Circuit right now than the Wendy 4for4s. That's my thought. Like you got 4 players going, first time playing, no scrims together, hop in there, dominate, get to the finals. Okay, the finals wasn't the best. We can bounce back. We have a whole month to get back to that point, and then after that, we've got another month to get back to that point again if we don't get it that time.
And then another one.
And then another.
We got 3.
We got 3 of them.
More runs at this thing.
And for people who don't understand Challenger Circuit, 4 teams will lock their spot in, yes, but 18 other teams, if you get it in by points, which you guys already have a fuckload of points, and I believe you're already in the top 18. I think right now it was like
because
14th or something.
I mean, us getting to finals gives us a ton of points compared to anybody who didn't make because there's like guys, like there are really good teams out there who did not make finals. Tripods, I would say, being the most notable.
Yeah,
who was in our semis. And so we scratched out with 19th. They unfortunately, I think we're falling to 13th or so. And so like there's a lot of really good teams that didn't make finals. And so the fact that we're doing as well as we are is like we're only gonna get better and better and better. Like we just started this shit.
We just started. To be honest, and like to round it, like top 18, you still get to, based on points, you still get to go into that split 2 Pro League qualifier. So right now you guys are sitting in that spot, I believe, last time I checked. So you guys are still there, still a lot of time left, still a lot of things to go down. Also, let's talk about how your first like set of games on, I think it was game 2 and 3, you go back to back with the wins.
We had no right winning the games that we won.
The second one was crazy. No right. The second was who had the wingman and clutched it?
Morbid's the G. I had a very Enoch moment of I got like little like zoned out, Morbid calmed to do something, and then I figured I was like, oh, the other 2 got it, that'll be fine, and then I just got absolutely just clipped in my back, and then but I mean like the whole time like I was just like, oh, like, and if you go back and you listen to the comms during that match, you can hear like I'm literally like I'm like, oh, more like guys, play my knock, like you win these all day, and then he somehow won it, and I was just like, let's go. Like I mean that was just. Some
were saying that was the reason nuts. You guys won, was those comms.
I mean, I think I definitely had an impact.
So some were saying. I think if we haven't already done it, I want Connor to put in clips. I can make the clips for Connor to put in. I feel like it'd be really bad if we didn't put in the clips of at least from your stream of you like getting that win in like that exact moment. I'll talk to Connor about
my
that.
POV from I think it was games 3 and 4 because it was our last game on World's Edge and our first game on Stormpoint.
Yeah.
Because and then dude, I have no idea how me and a prize we won that first game when I actually was playing, because I got hit by a nade and I literally got launched out into the middle of the open and I just was shooting shit. And nobody was looking at me.
Nobody was looking at you. What do they call that building? Like the Dorito area? Like what is that little area?
I mean, like, just like the no-name POI out of right outside of
Overlook.
Frag East.
Or Frag East, yeah.
Between Frag East and Overlook, right outside the tunnel that leads to Geyser, that little spot, yeeted off the top rock
You
by a
slid off
juicer
the
nade.
top, and you are just shooting everybody, and nobody's looking at you. Like, nobody even thinks like, hey, maybe we should shoot this guy.
Maybe
get
we should
the
shoot the
win.
conduit in the wide open, like literally just by himself.
Dude, honestly, like there should be no like sadness about the way you guys performed. Like it was awesome to watch. It was very, very cool. And I can't wait to see it again. It was cool to like stream it and watch you too. Those 2 wins, I was hyped. I was hyped up. So it was really awesome. If you guys want to check out and watch Enoch in the next upcoming Challenger circuit, I think it'll be next month. Obviously, you can check out his Twitch channel. But if you want to have the watch along with potentially Jayhawk, Connor's definitely going to be there. That's our video editor. He's going to be in there. We're all going to watch it together. That is also available. Have both streams up. Why not? Why not? Just have them both going. We'll probably have some predictions going inside the chat, and we can have a grand old time. So shout out E. That was fun to watch. It was really good time. Challenger circuit is fun, man. Challenger circuit is real fun. It's fun. They're like the gameplay is much different than like typical pro league, but it's still extremely fun to watch. Like it's in its own way very interesting, and it's cool.
Like ranked plus.
Hey, here's a question. Did those wins feel like, what did that first win feel like when you got that first win?
I mean, it was nice. It was hype. Yeah, no, definitely. Especially with it, like coming in and just already being in like the quarterfinals where like the lobby, like they're like respectable teams who aren't going to make it. Like they're talented individuals who are just not going to qual. And to be able to like win multiple games and like come out in first when we ain't practice. Like we don't practice. We ain't done this.
Practice. No, it
like,
was
it was definitely
great.
cool. It was definitely exciting. Definitely, you get more there's just like a different level of locked in that you get than compared to ranked.
Yeah.
Like I would say like it's maybe comparable to when I like was on like the hard ranked 1 grind, and like during that time it was like a similar feeling of just absolutely like, oh, every single thing matters. Like we just have to like get this. But dude, it's fun, and I love my teammates. Like a Preslyy or a Prize, because I mean, like I call him, like I know his name's a Preslyy, but I've been calling him a Prize for way too long. And then Morbid is like, they're 2 guys who I'm absolutely stoked that I get to compete with, and very, very, very confident in the team. And it's definitely a team that I'm looking forward to, like sticking together and making something happen.
Let's go. I'm excited. Wendy's 4 for 4. The squad. Okay,
and
ladies and
the
gents.
4 works out really well because we're one of the few challengers teams that's got 4 bodies on it.
Yeah.
And everybody gets PT.
That's right. That is right. Okay, ladies and gents, let's move on down into all of the news surrounding Pro League and everything going on ALGS wise, and then we'll break it down and get into day 4. First bit of news that we got here, Yuki is stepping down from Team Alliance. Alliance has obviously been around for a very, very long time, been one of the premier teams. He's been a big part of it. He's stepping down for a little bit. I know that's like not like an NA thing, but I mean, they've gone to champs and all the lands so often that you have to know who Alliance is, and it's a big loss for them. E, your thoughts on Yuki stepping down?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for Yuki. I mean, obviously he's not stepping down to do a poor performance. It's just, at least from like an outside perspective, it just seems like he's ready to move on from playing video games competitively, and this being like the main focus of his life and his time. And so I'm excited to see what he's going to be doing in the future. Definitely will be keeping tabs on him. Wish him nothing but the best. And it should be fun to watch and see how this new Alliance roster plays. Because I can't remember a time of watching Alliance where it wasn't Hackies and Yuki, and then a third. Like, the third would always switch out, but it would always be Hackies and Yuki together, and they've had so much success. We got a little bit of a different look with the swap from Yuki, who I would describe as more of like a support MNK, but also just incredibly talented player, to Unlucky, who is one of the more talented EU controller players. And so it'll be really interesting. It'll be like a similar situation of like Sweet was always double MNK, and now Hackies has always been double MNK, and now Hackies has two of the best controller players in EU. And so we'll see if they're going to be able to. I'm sure that they'll be playing things a little bit different, have a little bit more of a different play style, but it'll be exciting to see what they end up doing and how this team does moving forward. And so far in their scrims, they've been just dropping just nukes on everybody. And they've just been like, I'm pretty sure they had like over 100 points, and the next closest was maybe like 60 something.
Damn.
Like, yeah, they be running shit over there. And so I'm excited to see how it goes. I think there was like some like almost like podcast that Nasky was having with a bunch of like coaches and other pro players. And so they I think a decent amount of them weren't sure if it was the right fit for what they felt like Alliance needed in terms of that role. But I'm excited to see what happens and how that team will perform moving forward.
Yeah, so congratulations to Yuki on his retirement. We also have some interesting news. Mamba, he's now LFT. Native Gaming right now sitting at 21st out of the 29 teams in NA. Definitely comes as a surprise. They haven't been playing super well, obviously. It hasn't been great for Native Gaming so far, but this one's weird. This one is a little I don't think did you expect this?
I did not expect this. I'll be honest, Native is a team that I haven't been keeping super close of an eye on in terms of like keeping up with how they've been going and what's been going wrong and why they haven't seen as much success this time around as they might have previously seen. But it's definitely something that I'm shocked to hear. I would not absolutely zero disrespect to Bo or to Klain, but I haven't watched them play as a team too much, but as someone who's gotten the pleasure of being able to rank and play with Mamba a fairly substantial amount, I just cannot see that guy being the problem. Like, I just cannot see how that team is going to end up getting better as a result of Mamba not being on it. And so wishing the best for Mamba. I'm sure that he'll find a good home in a place where he can land on his feet well. And it'll be interesting to see who Native ends up picking up and filling that role. I'm sure that they're going to have a pretty good amount of people to choose from, considering that it's an org spot. So not only is it a pro league spot, and so there's a lot of players who are currently outside of pro league that have been previously in it. And then you throw that org contract in there as well, and it makes it a really enticing offer. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, this was one of the few times where you see an LFT go up and everybody's just genuinely confused. And it isn't entirely shocking because of how they've played thus far, but this is the first domino to fall, right? And we see this every split where once the first domino falls, then a lot more start to follow with it. And there's a lot of teams who are underperforming right now that you could see potentially making a move. I don't know if they would. I don't know if that's something that any other team is looking at, but it is the first domino to fall. So that's something to keep an eye on moving forward. Some other, wait, were you going to say something?
No.
Oh, okay. Moving on into some other news coming out of Native Gaming. Bo with this absolute banger tweet. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on it real quick. He said, "Gonna put a glizzy in a hot pocket soon. We'll get back to you on the results," essentially is the tweet. I just wanted your thoughts real quickly on if you think that putting a hot dog in a hot pocket would be in any way, shape, or form enticing enough to eat. Because when I read that, I almost threw up.
I've never been a hot pocket guy. I've never been a glizzy guy. I just can't see them throw. I mean, I guess if somebody enjoys both of them, why not? Like, how could it go wrong? But for me personally, that's going to be a hard pass. I don't eat food out of microwaves anymore. Like,
Big microwave? You're avoiding.
I'm definitely against big microwave. Now that shit nukes the like nutritional value that you get out of your food is like substantially less after you microwave it. And so I'm team anti microwave. And so the hot pocket is just not really something that'd be going down.
And you got to assume he's also microwaving the hot dog too. You're getting double the waves.
I mean, bro, there's just no way that if you're a hot pocket, if you come up with the idea to put a glizzy in a hot dog, you are just not the kind of guy that is going to grill his hot dog before he puts it in the glizzy.
That's exactly what
before
I
he puts it in the hot pocket.
Yeah.
You're just not.
No, you're not. I feel like the entire point of this meal is just being as quick as possible, right? But getting the most food that you can in the smallest amount of time possible.
Like we're talking about the guy whose like main form of hydration while he plays Apex is beer.
Coors Light.
I saw that. Ripping, the Coors.
Yeah.
And honestly, not my like if as far as cheap beers go, I don't think I'd go Coors.
Coors is actually
not the one for me.
Coors is the Bab family go-to, but mostly Coors Banquet is the Bab family go-to. It's the yellow bellies. My dad likes to call them buckskins. Son, hand me a buckskin. But yeah, Coors Light is the close second because we're just a Coors family. When he put that video out, I've never felt more proud. But I will say, it is a little odd considering it. Like if he's doing that. Is he doing that on match days? Is my question, or is it just like I'm scrimming? I'm gonna open up Coors.
I mean, I would be shocked. Like, listen, if you're ripping the Coors while you're scrimming, you are 100% ripping the Coors on match day because you got to practice how you play.
Yeah,
like if you're used to playing with at least one or two in you, yeah, you got to do that. Like, do your thing.
He did say in the video.
I'm not gonna lie, I respect it because a few people remember that on my stream, I used to have a Modelo time where I would rip a casual or two at various points throughout the stream, and it would be like Modelo time.
Is that your go-to? Is it Modelo?
Yeah, Modelo. Like, if I'm gonna drink beer and I have the choice, like I would definitely I'm a Modelo man. And I've been a Modelo man for years.
Mm-hmm.
For years.
This goes back years.
This is a long time thing. I mean, as far as like the bottles go, I mean, they just got S tier bottles.
They have the best bottle, and I also like the fact that they don't go with what big glass bottle wants them to do. Big glass bottle says make it this way. Modelo says no, we're gonna scrunch it down. We're going to make it look like we like pressed it down a little bit more.
Do their own thing. Yeah.
We're going to do our own thing. You guys keep doing those boring basic bottles. We're going to do these Modelo bottles, and we're going to put gold wrapping around it, which you guys definitely won't do. Modelo, they're next level when it comes to their bottles. It's just presentation, really.
See, that's like my go-to beer. My go-to cheap beer would be Busch Light. Like back when I was like in college, the Busch Light was what I'd be picking up.
Busch Light. I'd probably go Natter Days. I go Natural Light.
Dude, I had too many. I mean, like that's like bottom of the barrel piss. Like that's like, I remember buying a pack of like 30. I think I got like a 30 of Natty Light for like $12.
That's the beauty.
Which is, well, yeah, I know, which is the whole reason you buy it. But it's like, dude. If we're talking, that's way too cheap. Like there just ain't no way.
Yeah.
If they're selling it for that, I don't want to know how much it costs them to make that shit.
It's exactly the same effect of when you're in a fast food drive-through and you see this crazy deal for $1 or $2, and you're like, "This is gonna hurt me physically." Like this.
It's like,
this is gonna
I
put
don't
me through pain.
Like I don't trust it. If it's
I
that
almost
cheap.
want the price to be higher. Because then I feel a little bit better about what I'm about to eat. The
quality is going to match it a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm with
exactly. Okay, well, I just wanted to see. I would love to hear what everybody else has to say about putting a hot dog in a Hot Pocket. I would assume the general consensus is I wouldn't do that, but you never know these days. I mean,
we might have some glizzy goblins.
We might. We very well might. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, Let's move on into match day number 4. This weekend, we only had one set of games, which ended up being a very intense and weird set of games. We'll get to all the storylines here in just a second, but let's kick it off with our winner, Oxygen Gaming. 1 week after they say we're taking Barometer back, not only do they take Barometer back, but they clear 20 points ahead of the second place, which was Dark Zero at 58. Third place, SSG. They continue to keep chugging along. They had 53 points. Fourth, E8 is still up there, and they are chilling with 52. And rounding out the top 5 was GKS with 40. Right behind them, we had TSM and Ape Gang at 6th and 7th. Complexity started off strong, but cooled off a little bit later. They ended up at 8th. 9th was Octa Gaming, DNO, GG, and sitting at 12th, we had Luminosity Gaming. They struggled a bit today. We'll get to them in a second. We had Drop In, followed up by Native. Then we had OBL, which I got to hover over this to figure out. Oblivion. Then we had Eternal, Esports Club, Cream, FaZe, Temper, and SKRT. That rounds out the entire day leaderboard. Let's kick it off here, Enoch, with the winner, Oxygen. They get Barometer back. They start pissing on people. It was a miraculous performance from them. They had back-to-back wins in rounds 3 and 4. What did you see from Oxygen here on match day number 4?
I mean, they got back to what they know. They got back to what they're comfortable with, and they got back to what they've seen an incredible amount of success. And I mean, yeah, like we can look and say like, okay, yes, like Barometer was like the big difference maker, and it definitely was absolutely game changing. But I will say that they definitely got very favoring zones, right? Like there was a bunch of south of zones for this round of SP, which makes their Barometer choice even better than it would be on like if they have to go across the map. Like that's a POI that is so good, regardless of where the zone is. When you get a POI that has that much juice and you're able to get an early rotate into a god spot in zone, it's just wraps. And they've shown that they know how to play it. They've shown that they're comfortable with it. And now the big test will be how they do with the 9 Lives Chow.
That's going to be big.
Is a team. Yeah, because we're looking at this now and we're saying, oh, Barometer was the best thing Oxygen could have done. It's the absolute game changer. It's going to what brings Oxygen back to life. And it could be, yes, it could be a group to group thing, because if 9 Lives and those guys are incredibly confident in their 3v3, they got one more controller than Oxygen does. And that contest, I think, is going to be something that, like, when I saw how well Oxygen did today, like this set of games, I mean, the first thing I thought about was like the 9 Lives. Like, okay, like, are they going to be able to defend it? Are they going to be able to keep it? And will they be able to keep this revitalized form that we saw from them going?
Yeah, and this was a mixture of really good, like you said, solid luck, but also great rotates. You look at game 1, they find this perfect spot right outside of Launchpad, and they're just underneath this little haven where the team on the bridge above them can't really peek down without either getting shot from across or going too far to where they might fall off. Like, there was no way that they were going to get peaked from up above, and they have the Bangalore with them. Obviously, they can use the smokes to their advantage. I think they could have ended up winning that game, but there was a catalyst wall. I don't even know which team brought it out, but it was an insane catalyst wall, really messed them up, changed everything. Then you go into game 2. This is where I think really their day completely changed. They start off, they're rotating out of Cenote, or no, I don't think they were coming out of Barometer. Then they go into this perfect position. They think they have the spot for the rest of the map. And what happens? They walk inside a building, and there's a rat team who full kills Reeds. They have to back out. I don't know how they didn't die when they were running out of there. Aiden almost got killed. They get into the Trident, which they use all the time. They've got the Trident. They go to Cenote Cave, bring Reeds back. They come back in and they have themselves another decent game where in that match, in game 2, they had a full revive twice. They brought back Reeds, and I think they also brought back Aiden, and they managed to like get themselves in 5th place with 5 kills out of that game. They killed LG in the water there, but getting 2 full revives in an ALGS match day is fucking crazy. Getting 1 is crazy sometimes. Getting 2, insane. They were able to bounce back from that. I think their perfect game, though, was game 4 on World's Edge. I don't know how they did it. Rotating out of Epicenter and having no team look at them when every single team had an opportunity to stare them down and shoot. I don't know how they got away with it. Like, I feel like that's why I said there was a little bit of luck, and I don't want to take anything away from their performance, because when they had people in front of them, they were beaming, they were killing. But there were some times where you're looking on the ALGS like the Play Apex broadcast, and they do the bird's eye view of all the teams in the late game fighting one another, and somehow Oxygen is just running this cut through the middle of the field. Nobody's looking. They get on this rock, they get the power position, and then all of a sudden SSG and Dark Zero are stuck sitting there twiddling their thumbs, being like, okay, well, we lost because Oxygen already has the spot. How'd they even get that spot? I'm pretty sure Dark Zero was occupying it for the longest time. They opted to leave, or I don't even know. It was just like the craziest mixture of luck, but also making sure that when they had whatever they had with them, whatever position that they got, they used it to the best of their advantage, and the best of their ability, and they took advantage. So it was just all the way around a very solid day for Oxygen. And yeah, I mean, they just dominated. They had the 2nd place to start it off, 5th, first, and then they had an 18th, tough game to start that, and then they get another 2nd to round out the day. So Oxygen on a different planet. Their comms are very relaxed compared to some of the other teams you listen to. Vayne, very calm. Reeds gets in there a lot, and he gives his opinion a ton. I would suggest people listening to the way they calm, because it is kind of interesting. But yeah, Oxygen, they win the day. They were the best team by far. 20 points, cleared everybody. Out of any of the other top 5 teams, was there another team that you were kind of looking at and picking apart their day a little bit?
Yeah, I think that one of the teams that we definitely have to give a little bit of attention to is GKS, and this is one of the teams that qualified through like the qualifiers. So they were not a team that we had like seen in Pro League extensively before, and it is the team that in fact dropped Sleepy Panda, who we had on like a few weeks to a month ago or so. And so this is a team of Chaotic, Sorcerer, and Naughty. And Sorcerer has been able to put them in some really good spots. They had a pretty rough day leading up to the last 2. They were in 15th place. And then with how well they were able to position themselves throughout that, what was it? Is it Epicenter? Yeah, the Epicenter. It was Epicenter zone up by the snow. Mm-hmm. They were just able to position themselves so well and be able to pick up a ton of KP, ended out strong. They went from 15th to 7th place in that one game, which is absolutely just, to move up that many spots is absurd. And so huge game for them there. And then they followed it up by going from 7th to 5th place. And so going in 2 games from 15th to 5th, I think is something that is very noteworthy and definitely deserves to get talked about. And I just want to highlight the mental adversity that you have to have, and that the locked in on the fact of like, oh, we're going to get this done. Like, and just the confidence to have in yourself to like, okay, we got 2 games left. We can still do this. We can still make this a good day. And they kept that. And then they showed out, they showed up, and they got themselves some good Pro League points.
And this was a team that's facing a lot of, when they dropped Sleepy Panda, there was a lot of controversy surrounding that, because they get in the spot, they immediately drop him. They're like, we're going to go with Naughty. We brought on Sleepy Panda. He talked about how he was going to play match day 1 with them, and then they were going to go to Naughty. And I feel like there was a lot of people already against this team to start. Like, there was just a lot of people being like, Chaotic, however you feel about him, the situation surrounding it, they weren't feeling the best about it. So they, kind of overlook GKS a little bit, but I think they flexed their muscle and showed that they can still fit in here. And if they have a few more decent days like this, we could definitely see this team heading into LAN. I want to go kind of the opposite of the top 5 teams and talk about a team that I think had the ability to get top 5, but kind of flared out a little bit, and that was Team Complexity. Game 2, Monsoon went absolutely berserk, insane, crazy. Monsoon, I talked about him last week. I talked about Complexity last week and how much I enjoyed watching Monsoon. I mean, this guy just continues to be impressive with a sniper rifle in his hand. It's almost unfair what he can do. I will say they did face a little bit of weird circumstances here with this entire day, because going into it, they had the situation with Kimchi, right? This is the tweet from Lou talking about how Kimchi's internet went out. They had a very tough start to the day. They ended up having to use their sub to like kick everything off. Then Kimchi comes in today into game number 2. Monsoon goes crazy. The one thing I want to mention about that game was they were in a building for what felt like forever. And there was a lot of opportunities where they could have left the building and tried to go for kills, tried to set themselves up with a little bit more KP. And this was one of those times where the patience really paid off for them in the end. They're able to wait it out. TSM was above them on the hill. They had E8 below them. They had Optic below them. Across from them, they had Oxygen. Those are some shooters right there. You're going to want to be careful with that. And not to say that this team can't shoot back, but I found that to be one of the better plays of the day, them staying inside that building and being able to get that win. Because let's say, for instance, they do end up leaving that building, get some KP, but lose. They don't get that first place there. We look at the rest of their day and we say, oh shit, 8th would have been great to have. Because if you look at the rest of it, outside of that one win, they had the 8th with 2 kills, 12th, 6th with 0 kills, and 11th with 2. So it really didn't pan out anything better than that one game. It kind of saved them, very similar to a Disguise last week. So very interesting situation with Complexity. Hopefully Kimchi's internet issues are figured out next week, because that would be very shitty if they had to go through the exact same thing once again, to where they're having to deal with one of their players basically just having to just hope that everything works out with the internet. Here's a little picture of his setup. I guess he drove to one of his friend's houses and set up his whole thing inside. You got the wires everywhere. You've got chaos. It was not easy for them by any means, and I don't want to say that that was the only reason they struggled a little bit, but you got to think that did play somewhat of a part in the reasoning why they ended up not having like one of their better days. But I do have an announcement to make, which is why I brought Complexity up. This could be bad for them. There might be some Complexity fans who listen to this show who say, please don't do what you're about to do, but I'm going to do it. Complexity is my split one team. I am adopting them as my split one team. They are the ones. I am following them as closely as I possibly can. Very similar to my Lanimals experience a few splits ago. Complexity is my team. I'm riding with Complexity. I almost bought a Monsoon jersey. Had to slow down. For a second. Okay, got to get some other thing. You're muted right now, Enoch.
You didn't want to go too fast?
I wanted to slow down just a tad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm going to get one. Okay, I'm going to get one, but I wanted to. Let me just pump the brakes just a second. No matter what, though, Complexity is my team. I'm riding with Complexity. If you guys want to hop on the train, feel free. I've got room. I've got plenty of room, because people were underestimating this team the entire preseason. They're here to stay. They're here to show up. Complexity till we die, at least until split one is over. Enoch, any other teams that you were kind of peeking at on the rest of the scoreboard, whether it was good and or bad?
FaZe definitely had a day where they struggled. I know that was a team that I said that we were going to want to keep an eye on to see if they were going to be able to keep up the impressive performance we had seen out of them out of the first couple weeks. They definitely struggled this day. Didn't pay too close of attention to see like what was really going on that caused and led to that, but it just felt like they weren't ever really able to get into like the spots that they wanted or needed. They're currently 17th. Which I believe they started out the Pro League, I think, like inside the top 10 for sure. I think they're like around like 6 or so. So they definitely, they had 14 points that first day, and then they've had a 5-point day and a 2-point day. So definitely not the best performances following their debut. But even with that being said, they do have 2 more match days left to try to make something happen, and that will be on the. Oh no, they have 3 more match days left. So good for them. In order to get these points back, and this is a team that you could say has had a little bit of a rough start, but given the fact that they'll have 3 more match days in order to, I believe I'm right on that. It gives them these matches on the new patch, and so like this new update is going to shift so many different things around that it could be something that turns out to be really, really good for them and their play style and how they play as a team. And so definitely I would keep an eye on FaZe to see how they do throughout this season. Obviously, like, they got my boy Zara on the team, and so that's the team that I want to see do well. And then snipe a fellow Indiana man.
We're just hoping. We're pulling.
Yeah, you got to. Temper, at least it seems like they're continuing to struggle throughout Pro League. But they did not have nearly as bad of a day as Skirt, which is Alberlelli, Scubbery, and Awakening. And they placed 20th, and they did not get a kill on the day, with their best placement being an 8th. And so they were chowed at C-Note to start their day off, and I do believe that they got swept 3-0 on that. And so obviously it's going to be hard to have a good day on Pro League when you don't get to play the entirety of the Storm Point. And I believe they were chowing.
Wasn't it Cream?
Cream.
Yeah.
Who didn't place much better, as they got 17th. And it seems like their only KP throughout those first 3 Storm Point games were Skirt. So that's just showing, at least from my POV, that contesting, even if you win it, it doesn't really like do too much for you. Especially if Skirt decides that they're going to keep coming back. You're just going to keep on doing this. Like if they decide like, oh, we just had a bad day, we're going to run it back again. You don't really. It's like a bad day for both teams, and there's not too much to be gained out of it.
Yeah, this was a tweet coming from Alberlelli. Said con after con after con after con after con after con. Can I catch a fucking break? It's been 2 years. I can literally IGL everything but fucking cons, and I can't fix it apparently. GG's. I'll figure something out this week, hopefully before the next game day. So it makes it hard, man. Like it's tough because when you're an unsigned team and you're trying to put together a roster, we saw the same thing with Tripods when they were in there. You're going to get contested. Like we've just seen that so far, even just with Oxygen deciding to switch over to Barometer, like you have a much better day when you have the better POIs and stuff like that. So trying to find and battle for a better POI is going to lead you to a lot of spots. That was also going back to FaZe. One of their problems, they couldn't beat Temper. They just could not find a way to beat Temper. And Temper told us on their interview, they said that we have no problem contesting people. We have no issue. You look at the FaZe roster. They live for it. The FaZe roster, maybe we got to get an IGL. Like maybe we have to set a firm IGL. Like I mentioned a few weeks ago when they had a decent day, I said, this is cool now. When things start to go south, what are we going to do? And things are starting to go south because we're losing to Temper on a contest. So something's got to get figured out. Got to move forward. Got to find something. I don't know, but maybe we settle on an IGL. Maybe we settle on an IGL over there at FaZe. Last few teams I wanted to talk about here, the big names. TSM had themselves once again a very, very decent day. Nothing to be upset about if you were any other team, but you know how Imperial Hal is. He likes to have the perfection. There's been 2 days this split where they've been forced out of top 5 by a team getting like a late win and a late push to help them get into that 5th spot. Day 2, it was disguised. This week, it was GKS. So they get pushed out by 1 point each time. Very random, very weird stat that I have in my head. I just like to keep like tabs on the top 5. But TSM still hovering around, still doing well. There was one play in game 2, the game that Complexity, my team, ended up winning. Hal got destroyed by a wingman. A Horizon went up on the queue. I'm pretty sure it was E8, somebody on E8. And
Zap shit on him.
It was crazy. That Zap gun, that's going to change things in season 20.
Just different. The wingman is just so. The wingman in its current state is just. I would say it's like the most oppressive care package gun we've seen
ever.
Because it's like long range. It's not the greatest, right? Because you pretty much have a Digi or a 1X on it or your irons. But dude, mid range, there's no other if you hit your shots, there's no other gun that comes close to out damaging it. Close range, no other gun that comes close to it. Like you heady body somebody and their game's over. And it just, I'm very, very, very much as a wingman enthusiast, I'm very excited for it to be back on the floor, hopefully in this season 20, because I think that there'll be less people using it. So I mean, just because it's not going to be nearly as OP as it is right now, but it'll still be that good, strong gun that we all know. You know, I do think that the wingman is going to continue to be a problem, to be honest, because I think that the care package, right, it put everybody on to like how good it is, right? And like people who would never use the wingman, right? People who would never use the wingman are all of a sudden the biggest wingman enthusiasts, picking it up every chance they get. And so we'll see if once it comes back to like brought back down to earth a little bit, if we'll see the more casual wingman players continue to use it. With the changes to Digi, I do think that it is going to lean towards a wingman meta. Because if we continue to see Bang as often and played as much, I believe she has an 87% pick rate in Pro League at the moment. If we continue to see that many bangs and the bang smoke is as prevalent as it is right now, and Digis don't have SMGs and only shotguns and pistols do, the wingman is the best Digi gun. No debate, no questions asked, not even close. And so I definitely think that for that reason alone, it leans towards it being a wingman meta coming into season 20.
Yeah, and like you said, even if they nerf it back down to what it was before, there were a lot of players who just didn't use it. There were players who used it exclusively, but there was just a lot of people who didn't use it. I mean, we're hitting 50s right now with it, right? 45s, it's a difference, but it's not a whole lot. And especially if you know that the Digi is on it in Bangalore smoke, late game. We just saw what happened to Hal in the matter of like a second. He was just dead. Like it was over. They would have to, I would hope, also nerf the projectile size.
Dude, they got to. If they don't change the projectile size back to what it used to be and shake out some of these fake wingman users, dude, I mean, it's just everybody's going to be. There's going to be no reason not to use it because it's just going to be the best. It's going to be like, why are you not using a wingman? It's like the only gun you should really be playing. Mm-hmm. And we'll see what happens. We will see what happens, especially because like the 30 is getting nerfed. Supposedly, from like leaks that I've seen on Twitter, apparently the 30 is getting nerfed, the Hemi's getting nerfed, the Volt's getting nerfed, which that makes no sense to me. That actually, like when I saw that, I actually got low-key a little bit mad. Because I was like, why are we nerfing the Volt? Like
it's all SMGs. It seems like
people are using the 9 still. Like if you look at Pro League, I think like it's a pretty even split. Like I would say it's the most balanced SMGs have been, and I haven't seen anybody being like, oh my gosh, the Volt is so oppressive. Like, oh, they need to do something about the Volt. Like, no, the Volt's fine. Leave it. Let it be. Like this is the most balanced we've had SMGs in I don't know how long. Why are we going to ruin it by making the Volt worse? Like, what's the point? What are we doing? You're just like you're forcing. I mean, that just you're forcing a wingman meta even more because then it makes it so like, okay, I'm either going to use a flatliner and Havoc as an SMG because there's no reason to use normal SMGs other than strafe speed, and it's just going to make more sense to use a wingman as your secondary.
Yeah, and if I had to choose between the two worlds, what would you rather have, an SMG meta or a wingman meta? Wingman's fun. It's cool. It's totally fine, but I would much rather have the SMG. Like I feel like you can come back from an SMG meta. You have an like a chance to defend yourself in an SMG meta. In a wingman meta, it is very unforgiving. Like just extremely unforgiving. To the point where I feel like it almost tilts fights in a way that I don't think is fair. So I would much rather have the SMG. And so, yeah, I didn't understand the volt changes either. Like you said, I like nobody was saying the volt was crazy. Like
Nobody
there was
complained about a
no
Volt. Nobody.
exactly. Hmm.
What? What are we doing?
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this all shakes out. But yeah, so TSM Hal gets absolutely shit on. But other than that, in that one play, they seem to have a very decent day. They were getting KP. They got KP every single game. So they were getting their kills. It was just their placement wasn't the highest. I think their highest on the day was third. Everything else was around 10th place, 9th, 10th place. So they're going to work on their placement. Last week I said they weren't getting the KP. This week they were getting the KP, not the placement. So we'll see how TSM does moving forward. Still at 6th place on the day, so not too bad. Optic. Optic is another one of those teams where they needed a big day. They still haven't had that big day yet. They're still kind of hovering around. They end the day at 9th here. They just didn't. There's just that one game that kind of gets them out. They had a 19th place in round 5, keeps them out from like they have a decent game there. Maybe they get 11th, 10th, even with no KP. It helps out a little bit more. I don't know. They're just struggling right now, and I want to see them bounce back. I don't know exactly what the problem is right now. I don't know if anybody really knows what the problem is right now. They're just not in that same zone. If you think back a few splits ago, they were in kind of this same spot, and it just seemed like they weren't hitting their stride, and then they bounced back that next split, and they were arguably one fight away from winning a LAN. So there was that. But Optics still hasn't found their form quite yet. And rounding out the one team that I kind of wanted to bring up again, Luminosity. Great week last week, really solid week. This was kind of the antithesis of that. There was a lot of struggles, 17th place, 18th place, no kills, a lot of calm issues with Slayer, it seemed like. There was the fight with Oxygen in the water. I believe Slayer didn't see the grenade notification, which I guess there is a bug in water where it doesn't always show up and you don't know. And Sweet was telling him to climb up. He doesn't climb, gets knocked by the grenade. So they were having some issues there with the comms. But yeah, they've done well enough to this point to keep them in a very good position in the overall standings, but it will be something to keep an eye on moving forward, how Luminosity bounces back from some of these tougher days. So that's something to keep an eye on. Speaking of the overall standing, let's get to those real quick. If we were going to the LAN today. All right, what's up, guys? Wyatt here. Something happened with our recording website. We use Riverside, and it randomly kicked me and Enoch out in the recording, and it seemed like everything was cool, but it did cut out a portion of our recording right when we were going over the teams and the overall standings right now in NA. So real quickly, I'm just going to run through those real quick and kind of give my thoughts on some of the standings here. We'll kick it off with our number one team. It is Dark Zero, and it is not really close. They're sitting up top with 64 points. Right behind them is Luminosity and TSM with 49. That just kind of shows you how much further Dark Zero is ahead right now. Jayhawk put out a graph today. I think they're number one on Storm Point, number two on World's Edge, number one overall. They are just in a complete different stratosphere right now. So Dark Zero would be your winner right now. And then, like I just said, Luminosity, TSM right behind them. SSG and E8 round out the top 5. Very interesting stuff there. SSG has played really well. A lot of people weren't expecting E8 to play this well, but here they are sitting up there at 5th, having really solid days, looking really, really good. Right after that, we've got Complexity, Oxygen, Furia, Moist, and Ape Gang. That rounds out your top 10. And for the final two that would make it into LAN right now, if we were going, Optic Gaming and the big surprise, GKS. I don't even know if it's really a big surprise, but I don't think a lot of teams were talking about GKS like we just did earlier in the show. So that would be your teams going to LAN right now. After that, there is a lot of like teams that are very close points wise to getting in there. So they're going to have to perform here going in. And some have only played 2 days. So Optic and Ape Gang and some of those teams at that lower level, they're going to kind of want to step it up here going into the later days. We've got Drop-In Gaming, Disguised, followed up by Oblivion. Then we have Nine Lives, DNO, FaZe, Meat, GG, Legacy, Native Gaming, and then Sentinels. That goes up to 23. And then way down there, we got XSET. XSET really struggling right now. Very surprised to see how low they are in the standings. They have only played 2 days, so they could have a juicer and really get back into this thing. But right now, not doing so great. Then you've got EEC, you've got Evolution, Cream, Oversleepers, and our boys over at Tempers rounding out all of Temper, rounding out the rest of the list. So that is how the standings are looking right now. I would say most of this seems like how we would have expected it to go. A lot of the premier teams are still up top, still in that great position, but really the only exception being XSET. XSET is one of those teams that I think Jayhawk had said he was expecting to win the LAN, and they still very well could. But right now, they have not had a very good start to the season. Questions looming. Was the Sykes change a little early? You know, who knows? We'll have to see. Still plenty of time left. Still plenty of games left to be played. So that rounds out the standings. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to throw it on down to our boy, Preslyy. And Preslyy gave us a great interview. Him and Enoch, I didn't even know this. They live close by to each other for a while. They go back a ways. So it made it that much better. And I think Preslyy gives a good scope of what it's like to be in Challenger Circuit and how close they've come a few times to getting into that next level. But also, he's been to a LAN before. So he talked about his experiences with LAN and what's going to happen in Season 20, what they expect to happen, all of that stuff. Great interview with Preslyy coming up right now. Ladies and gents, let's hit a quick ad. And on the other side, Preslyy. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. We have a very special guest on the show here today. We've got Preslyy, fresh off of the Challenger Circuit win with his team Pen 5. Preslyy, how are you doing, my man?
I'm doing pretty good. Very excited, very pleased with how we played. Just happy to solidify our spot for the qualification so we don't have to continue to compete week after week, and it feels really good. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty good right now.
Yeah, like the Challenger Circuit grind is definitely not like anything I would envy doing, because it just seems like you're constantly you're in the trenches at all times, and
100%.
it's got to be tough. So for people who aren't 100% knowledgeable about what Challenger Circuit is like, can you give somebody like the day-to-day and like what exactly the goal of winning one of these circuits is?
So the goal, everyone wants to win one of these because if you win one, you guarantee your spot in the qualifier for Pro League. And these are happening once a month. So the next one is going to be, I think, March 4th. So it's February 6th right now. So you have a whole month of just downtime, just scrimming. And then after the March one, I think it's April. So there's a lot of time in between. You have to invest a lot of time into these things. So it's definitely something that will take up a majority of people's time.
And then it's for the next split, right?
Yeah,
Like
it's for split two.
Okay.
And it's not even to get into Pro League. It's to get into a qualifier for a chance to get into Pro League.
Mhm.
So the job's not even done yet. This is like just breaking into it a little bit.
That qualifier to get into Pro League, is that also the LCQ tournament?
I believe so.
So you lock in the spot to eventually qualify for Pro League, but you have locked in a spot to potentially qualify for LAN.
Yes, that is
which
correct.
I'm sure we're going to get into it a little bit later, but that is something that you have done before.
Yes, we have done
the
that
LCQ.
before. Yep.
And so you got some practice walking away, and that is one of the more difficult things to walk away with a first or second from, because only the top two teams qual and move on out of everybody. Yeah.
I mean, it's a crazy grind, and like you said, it probably feels really good to get this out of the way now, because if you think about preseason, right? I mean,
Hmm.
obviously you want to win, but with preseason, you lose 1 week and then you get the next week. Like it's like, all right, well, this is what we need to do going into next week. You got to wait a whole month. Like that's just weighing on you the entire time. You're just sitting there, just like, gosh, damn, like we really got to figure this out. Like it's probably feel like a giant weight lifted off your shoulders just to get this done out of the way. Now you can just focus on that next split.
100%. And talking about preseason quals, we were actually the first week of preseason quals, the last game, we were in first place. And it came down to the last game, and E8 came and swept it underneath us. So, and then the remaining 3 weeks, we were still top 5, and then it came down to that last week, and unfortunate circumstances occurred with Hambino lagging out 2 out of the 4 games. So it definitely feels good getting it done the first week in Challenger Circuit compared to having to continue on and on and on. Now I feel like a lot of stress has been lifted off, and it feels good to see all the hard work that myself, Chase, and Ham have put into this actually show off and like work out. So it feels really good right now.
And so you mentioned that you guys had 2 crashes out of 4, and since that little incident and your guys' complaints amongst many other competitors, the change has gone from like it was quarters, correct?
Yeah, quarters and
Yeah,
up.
so quarters went from being a round of 4 to a round of 6. And so for your like time playing it out this time, how nice was that change? And do you think that it made an impact in terms of helping the teams that should qualify?
Oh, 100%. 4 game series, I never really understood it because on day 1, in total, we play 12 games. Day 2, it's 10, and then day 3, it's 12. So I never understood why it went from 12 to 10 to 12. It didn't really make sense. And it definitely, you can have 1 bad game, you can have 2 bad games. So to increase the odds in your favor, it definitely helps a lot of the teams that, get pressured. It lets some of the teams stand out because all it takes is 1 big game for you to come back and pop off. So if you get 2 more games, you're just adding on to you're increasing your chances of qualifying for sure. So I think the 6 games definitely helps out a lot of teams because in Challenger Circuit there is a lot of griefing because a lot of the teams aren't solidified as some of the tier 1 teams and like their drop spots, how they play. So it's just kind of pick and go, whoever comes first. So it's definitely pretty griefy and scary. So 6 games is really, really nice. Much needed change.
Yeah, I was wondering too, because usually when it comes to Pro League, every team has their drop spot picked out. You know,
Mhm.
there's usually some Twitter post that goes along with it, like we are commanding this area, and it's always like this big thing. And I was wondering, like, is there any way that you know where people are landing for Challenger Circuit? Like, is there a Discord or something that people can use to figure
So
it out?
there's a Discord where it's I think it's Eternal. It used to be Viz Scrims, and it's where majority of people will go and scrim, and they have a map where people would call their drop spots the night before, so that helped out. But some people still didn't even go in and pick their drop spots, so it's just kind of a gamble at that point. But that's the only spot. And then, of course, people typing in the lobby chat before the game starts.
And so when it comes to contests, would you say that you guys are more contest averse, like you guys don't want to take it, or you guys like, oh, we have our spots, we're gonna keep it no matter who's trying to.
I will say before we swapped because we swapped mid tournament to Bloodhound instead of Catalyst, so we ran Bloodhound, Bangalore, and Conduit. Before that, we were running Watson, so we were definitely not a fighting team. So anytime we were getting contested, we were like, all right, you guys can have it. We're not going to change how we play. We'll just play from somewhere and we'll make it work. And majority of the time, it worked out. But on this comp, we definitely felt way more comfortable in taking fights. So we kind of established ourselves in certain POIs, and we're like, if you want to contest us, then I guess we'll take the contest. Just depending on what map came first, depending on where the contest was. If we were contested on Storm Point, but we played World's Edge first, we would kind of go into it. All right, let's have really good World's Edge games. That way we can have a cushion just in case we do get contested on Storm Point. But if we had bad World's Edge games, then we would flex drop. And we've been together for 9 months. I would say all 9 months we've been flex dropping. We don't really have a home, but I mean, we've been making it work. So it's been pretty fun just kind of rotating around the map. You get to see some new stuff every once in a while. So it's been fun. I enjoy flex dropping. It definitely changes the game, keeps it fresh for sure. Keeps you on your toes.
Do you think that adds a substantial amount of difficulty in terms of like Hambino's responsibility as the IGL with having to have all of these different loop paths, all of these different rotates when it comes to like that flex drop?
100%. And I will say, us moving to sort of an edge style, I felt like it relieved a lot of stress on Ham, because it wasn't really more so, all right, go here, rotate zone, go quick. We have to make sure we pass these teams. We really just took our time, had fun, played the game. We were all joking around. Like we went to the first game, and Ham told us, like, let's just have fun. Let's just enjoy the games. And the first game of Challenger Circuit, I mean, we had a 27-point game. We were all just laughing, having fun. So it definitely relieves a lot of stress on him. And then he also gets to play Bangalore instead of Watson. So he's not really reserved anymore. He kind of gets to walk around and do whatever he wants now. So a lot of stress has been relieved.
That's a huge character improvement.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Especially as an MK player, getting off the Watson onto the like, that's just like ankle weights taken off moment, but like 100%. Times 20.
I've seen him do some crazy movement on Bangalore with the double time. It is fun to watch him. Whenever I die, it is fun to watch him move around for sure. He's a completely different player, and he's only getting better too.
And so you guys ran Conduit, Bangalore, and Bloodhound. Yes. What led you guys to running that specific set of characters instead of a Horizon or Cat, as you mentioned?
So day 2, the first game, we lost a team fight, and we were like, well, we're better than majority of these people in here. We're not really getting much value from Cat since we're playing super far edge. So let's just play Bloodhound instead and make our team fighting even stronger. So that was the main reason we swapped off from Cat. And then we didn't even play zone at all. We just would rely on our beacon scans or our player scans, and then just focus heavy on our 2 to 3 fights we had to win. And could you repeat, what was it?
And versus like having a Horizon. So like, what led you like that specific comp?
We just didn't really like Horizon, to be honest. We just didn't think it really fit our playstyle. I'm not a Horizon player. I know Chase plays a little bit of Horizon, so it was really up to him whether he wanted to play Horizon or Blood, and he just wanted to play Bloodhound. So it's more so just comfort picks for us.
Mm-hmm. And you guys clearly made it work.
Oh,
and I believe Dark Zero also has been running that comp with the Bloodhound.
I haven't been able to watch many of the scrims. It's been kind of going on with Challenger Circuit. I've only been able to watch some of the APAC North and South games.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
So you mentioned that you guys used to play a more zone style gameplay, and now you've kind of switched to edge. What was the decision making behind that?
So going into Challenger Circuit, there wasn't really a lot of teams that we were kind of scared of, and we've been together for a very long time. We know how each other play. We play well off of each other, so we just wanted to have fun and try something new and see if we could do it, and we could. So it was just testing our limits, really, because we've done really well. We were top 4 teams in preseason quals playing Hyperzone, so we're like, let's see if we can play Edge, because through Challenger Circuit, I think it's top 22, which, I mean, if you make at least every semifinals, you should be fine to make it through top 22. So we just took a gamble on it, just wanted to see if we could do it. And we all felt more comfortable, really. I felt like Conduit allowed me to play how I wanted, Bang allowed Ham to play how he wanted, and Chase just does whatever he wants, really. Just he's just here to have fun, too.
And so when you say that Conduit allowed you to play how you wanted, what does that mean? What does that look like to somebody who hasn't been able to watch Preslyy play?
Conduit Q, her Q is very strong. It allows you to take the aggression and then force it onto someone else, but then also force it back onto yourself. So I'm able to, I guess you could say, you can bait your teammates, but then you can also flip it onto the other team really quickly. So someone cracks your teammate 120, you Q them, they're instantly back into the fight, and then you can channel all of the aggression onto that one area, because that one guy is going to be hyper focused on, oh, I did 120 damage to this guy, I can kill him. But in reality, it's like, you didn't, because I just queued him and he has all of his health back. I'm healthy too. And it's all about how you react with that Conduit queue. So it allows me to really help my teammates and excel them forward, to just keep them pushing, because Chase and Ham are very aggressive players. I'm more so kind of letting things play into my card, like play into my area. So it allows me to kind of, I guess, dictate fights a little bit how I like them to play out. So really just taking control of certain situations where it looks bad, but then we can steamroll it to be in our favor again. So I think that's why it really helps me.
So staying on the topic of Conduit, I've seen a lot of discourse about whether or not she's too strong. Do you feel that there needs to be some sort of change to Conduit, or do you feel like it's just the utility is only as good as the person wielding it?
I think the utility is only as good as the person wielding it, because I've seen a lot of pros, even in Pro League, misuse the Q a lot. I've seen
the amount of people that throw Qs at people who are in cover,
Qs. You'll see them popping a battery. Yeah. It's like, what are you doing?
Done with the bat.
It kills me every time. The only nerf I would say for Conduit is her ultimate. It lasts a minute. That is a long time. That is a very, very long time. And not a lot of people will bunch them up. If you can bunch up those Conduit ults into like a little confined area, it's a real nuisance to get rid of.
You put that shit in a building?
Oh, yeah, you're done for.
You can't push through
or
that door.
Against a cat wall, what can you do? You can't see them. They're on the other side of a cat wall. Which it happened to us in one of our Challenger Circuit games. We got catwalled on and then a Conduit ult. And it was like, all right, well, that's the end. Can't do anything.
Yep, it's over. We did the best we could. It's done.
That might be an underrated Wombo combo for sure.
Definitely, for sure.
Yeah. No, I think it's interesting because I've seen a lot of people saying it's too much, but I've also seen a lot of people just not using it correctly, or I don't know. I don't really feel like it's game breaking by any sense of the word, but
I wouldn't say it's game breaking. It definitely changes the flow of the game for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think if people play her a little bit more, they will realize how well. I guess she's getting nerfed soon because of the update. But,
yeah, gone too soon.
Gone too soon for sure.
Oh, whoa! We don't know that because
that's true.
Cat's been getting nerfed for quite some time, and that character's still OP.
That is
Horizon nerfed quite some time, still OP. Conduit, I feel
one
like
day
she's
Horizon
got
will
a
be
healthy
driven
amount.
into the ground. One day, I pray.
It just if it's anything like the Seer effect, it'll just take multiple seasons. Like it'll just be it'll be forever before that actually happens. No, it'll be interesting. We'll see what happens with the conduit. So now you guys, you're qualified, you're in, you're ready to go. You can get into that split 2 qualifier and you can start to like get ready for that. But the one downside is there's so much downtime. What do you guys plan on doing to try and keep yourselves sharp, keep the team cohesion good? Like, is there any sort of game plan you guys have set in stone right now to try and make sure that you guys are ready to go when it's your time to shine?
So we all talked about it, and Chase has school, so he's only going to be able to scrim, 2-3 days out of the week. I work a part-time job, so I'm in that same boat. So we're trying to rotate our schedule to where we can at least scrim, 2-3 times a week. And then with the upcoming season, I know that I'm going to be ranking a lot. We're all going to try to rank together. So really just ranking together and doing scrims in our free time whenever we can, because it, like you said, it is a lot of downtime. But one thing that I think benefits us is we've been together since maybe April of last year. So we already have our chemistry built up. We've played different types of play styles, zone, edge. So I'm not really too worried about how we'll do. It's just all about staying together and making sure we're all level-headed together.
And speaking of being together for so long, it's so rare to see that nowadays. I feel like
It is.
I mean, every single day. I think even today, I think Native Gaming is dropping somebody
Mamba.
from Mamba. Yeah, I think Mamba's
Which
getting
makes
dropped.
no sense.
It's
It-
crazy.
That
I
makes
don't get
no
that
sense.
either.
We
That
probably
makes
already
saw
talked
that,
about
and
it.
That
but-
is a bad man.
I usually don't reply to any of those posts, but that one actually caught me off guard.
It's crazy,
That one
right?
really caught me off guard.
And that's just kind of the entire scene. It's very wild to see how many
Mhm.
different changes happen. You guys have been a team for a long time. Talk a little bit about your teammates and like what has made it so easy for you guys to stay together for as long as you have.
The way that we all three look at the game, we're not screaming at each other. If we have a problem with each other, we can, sit down, we can talk about it. We're all really good friends. We all know our job, and if something goes wrong, we're not we're quick to criticize, but it's a good criticism to where it's not hurting anyone's feelings or anything. We understand. So I think that definitely dives into it to where you need to be really good teammates to each other, because you never know what anyone's going through. Everyone has off days. We all understand that. I've had off days. Ham's had off days. Chase has had off days. It just happens. But the big thing is just knowing at the end of the day, everything will be all right. Everything happens for a reason. Don't stress it.
And speaking of Ham, his IGL style, I'd like to get like a deeper understanding of how exactly it works, at least from your end, right? Because I mean, you're the one hearing the calls, all that type of stuff. How is Ham as an IGL? How would you best describe him as an IGL?
I would compare him to how would I would compare him to Zero. He reminds me of Zero. I got to play a couple of games of Zero in Realm, and his IGLing is similar to him. He knows what to do, where to go, how he wants to do it, and it's a very calm IGLing kind. Like everything is planned. We know what to do, but if something goes wrong, he's quick to think. So it's bam, bam, bam. Like we know what to do exactly. So it's really just listening, and it's not a lot of micromanaging. We all kind of chip in at time, but at the end of the day, it is like his calls, and then he'll relay information back to me, and we'll go back and forth. So it's just him to me, just bouncing ideas back off of each other, and then Chase will also chime in as well. And Chase has been doing a lot better with helping out, because it's not just a one man team or one-man game. Everyone has contributions. It's just you have to find it in yourself to speak up, because people know the plays, they just don't know how to, I guess, articulate it in a way that we can all understand it. So Ham allows us to really thrive as players and work together. We're all looking for, to get that big win together. So his IGLing is very laid back, very calm, but very precise in what we need to do.
Did you have anything going off that, Enoch, or I was going to switch it up?
You can switch it up.
Okay. Well, that's good. I love to see how the team's working. I love to see the team cohesion there, and it's going to be exciting to see what happens coming up here in the future. Switching it up a little bit, I kind of wanted to go back to your early days of either gaming or Apex, wherever you want to start. A lot of people kind of go through their history of just getting into gaming, or if you wanted to just start at Apex and how you kind of got into the scene, go ahead and do that. I just want to know, how did Preslyy get into the scene? How did Preslyy get into gaming? How exactly do we have the person that we have in front of us right now?
So I'll start with how I got into Apex. I was working at a dealership in Florida whenever Apex released. I got into a car wreck. I was on workers' comp. I was like, well, I don't have anything to do. I wasn't really injured, but workers' comp, they make you stay home. They make you not work. So I was like, well, don't have anything else to do. Saw a trailer for Apex. I was like, oh, this looks fun. Played it for like a month or two. I was like, it's all right. Stopped over the summer, went back to Fortnite, and I would say October came back, and there was a league on console that it was League of Sweats, where I met, Stay Naughty, Slurpee G, Inhumed, all the controller friends that I've known for 4 years now, and just competed in that and made a name for myself, and it's just snowballed into this whole thing. Swapped to PC at the end of the first year that Apex came out, and just been kind of going through the motions with it. Didn't really compete, though, whenever I swapped over to PC. I competed maybe a month or two, but didn't find any teammates that I really liked, so just kind of stuck to myself and just grinded rank.
And then when you finally did transition into competitive, how'd you kind of get started on that path?
So my first team was actually with Phony. And we were on Esports Arena under Team Pringles. It was myself, Phony, and Fury. So Phony just asked me one day if I wanted to team, and then it kind of snowballed. We ended up winning, I think, season 2 and 3 of Esports Arena together. And then I actually got to play in the first ever online champs with Forswa and Euban. We were under the team name FYP. So that really was the beginning of my competitive, just playing through Esports Arena, and then all of a sudden going into champs. And then after that, I kind of made a name for myself. People recognized who I was, so just kept teaming with other people, just trying to make a name and get bigger and bigger.
Can we get a little bit of insight on that ranked grind and the come up and your first time on the little top 50s? And
yeah, was it season 6 and 7?
No idea. I think it was season 7.
Season 7.
Season 7 split 1.
Was it Olympus?
Olympus, yeah, it was season 7 split 1.
That's when I met you as well.
Bloodhound,
Me, you, and
Wraith, Bloodhound, Wraith, Gibby.
Yep, we were running it down. Me, you, and Zed. I was playing Gibby. I don't know why I played Gibby back then. I hate that character. I hate that character with a passion.
Our favorite Gibby.
I got shot at by everyone. I hated it. But that definitely, I would say, because I quit season 4 and 5, I didn't find enjoyment in Apex anymore. But Olympus and playing with Enoch definitely brought back a lot of my passion. I think I was the season we were like top 50 together.
Yeah, dude, we
So-
went from like I was like up in like the 100 somethings, you were like in like the 300 400s, and Zed was like outside the top 20, and then we
Mhm.
played for like
For
a
what,
decent
a
stretch,
month straight?
yeah,
And-
something. And then all the boys were just, I mean, we were just farming, we were ratting, we were doing it all.
No, we
That
were
was some
devious.
good times.
We were very
we were
devious.
shameless. We'd sit on we'd hit that beacon. The amount of times we were sitting on top of that Gardens building.
Oh my
spot.
gosh, the memories.
The top of Gardens.
But yeah, just continued rank grinding, posting clips, and eventually found out or ended up teaming with my old teammate Mercy Only and Golden. Before Golden, it was a mouse and key player named Solved, but he ended up just quitting Apex, didn't like it anymore. So that's when we brought on Golden. And then we ended up qualifying through the LCQ to make it to LAN, which was probably still the best thing out of Apex for me. The experience was insane, for sure.
Talk
Can we
a little.
get,
Oh, go ahead.
yeah, let's get into that a little bit. Like your LAN experience, like from the moment like you guys, can we like just some insight into like the process of like that LCQ, like the hype of like holy shit we're going to LAN, and then just like a little bit of that LAN experience. Because oh dude, do you know where that clip is?
Which one?
Of your comms that last game?
yeah.
Because
I do.
holy shit, if you, I'm pretty sure you can screen share in here, because that is like for the listeners, that is like if you want to see what passion looks like.
Oh, the passion was oozing
It was
that day.
absolutely just
Let me see. Where's it at?
blowing out of control.
Oh my gosh. All right, let me see. How do we screen share in here?
I don't know if does it show on your screen if you can share it? Should it be at the
Yes.
very bottom? Okay,
Yep.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh yeah, this right here. Is it sharing it?
Yep.
Give me rat on him.
Died.
Golden's going crazy. Quiet. Last team.
He's just screaming at my lungs.
They're down here.
There's one knock.
Step in. Focus that in if you can. Oh, Craig's here. Got him.
Sears dead.
60.
Nifty, give me.
Crack him. Flash him.
Crack, give me.
Let's go.
Let's go, baby. Let's fucking go.
Oh, I love
Let's
it.
go. You shit on G2. Suck my dick for ratting
Didn't
your
even know if we
fucking
qualified
pussy.
yet.
You are the Apex
Rat the
champion.
banner.
Throwback to when you could put a barrel stab.
Yep. Yeah.
Cut off.
Yeah. I ran downstairs. I was telling my mom she doesn't really understand, the
That's
whole
great,
gaming
honey.
thing. Yeah. She's like, oh, nice.
Yeah. Has no idea how big of a deal it is. No, but that's the thing too is we've tried to ask people about LAN in the past and like what a
Mhm.
great experience it was and why, and nobody really has divulged like what makes it so great. What are the feelings involved with it? Can you kind of go through what made it so great, at least from your experience?
Going into that last LCQ game, I think we were down 27 points. So, like, the odds are not in our favor at all. And just knowing that somehow, some miracle way, we were able to pull it off made qualifying for LAN just so ever so sweet. That feeling is something that probably can't get replicated again until, we got to make LAN again, and then maybe we'll see. But the feeling of knowing that you're going to compete, it's been a childhood dream, just to always be like on the big stage. So going there, I had goosebumps looking up and seeing all my friends like in the crowd. It's just something that I will never forget, for sure. something that like 7, 8-year-old me looking at it is just a dream come true. That it wasn't the performance we wanted, but even just making it to LAN was just something so awesome to me.
Few
Few
people have made it to a LAN.
for sure. Definitely a huge achievement.
No, that's cool. That's exactly the description I pictured, because I think everybody can have kind of like that daydream moment where they see themselves on, like you said, the big stage. And it doesn't matter what the big stage is. It's just the big stage and you're the one on it. And everybody who's kind of watched you grind and work is now in the crowd while you're on the big stage. I mean, it doesn't really get much better than that.
It doesn't.
And like you said, even though you didn't have the performance you wanted, like you made it to the stage. You were on the stage. And that's really all that matters, right?
It was great because before LG, old LG, Yanya, we held the kill record for most kills in a game on LAN. And yeah, so that was just a huge achievement too. Like,
what was the record before that?
I think we had 20. We dropped a 27-point game on LAN.
Holy shit!
It was the last game.
There we go.
So yeah, it was definitely pretty fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's a good way to. That's a good way to have your LG.
Yeah.
Taking a 3v3 against Optic and winning it. I clutched up, so it was 10 out of 10 feeling.
Hard to beat.
Going against Skittle Cakes in a 1v1. Oh, never forget it.
That's so cool, man. That's so cool. Well, I mean, we got to get you back over there. We got to get you back.
For sure.
We got to figure out what we're going to do.
For it.
Yeah. So I wanted to bring up this part because we also haven't had too many of this situation. You said you also work part-time, right? And It seems like right now a lot of the pros, almost all, I would say, are, either sustained by content creation or signed to an org to where they don't need to really like go get a job. Balancing the job while also trying to perform at your highest level is not easy. It's definitely got to be difficult at times. Like, scheduling wise for you, is there do you have to be very segmented with your scheduling, and is there a lot of nights where you're not really sleeping as much as maybe you should? Like, how do you kind of balance all of that, trying to fulfill your dream but also try to make sure you keep the lights on?
He doesn't sleep.
Yeah, I don't really sleep. I've had a problem for a very long time to where I sleep like a cat. I take naps. I will sleep for 3 hours and be like, all right, I'm good for 48. I'm fine.
How?
I remember, I don't know.
Has it always been this way?
It's always been this way ever since I was like 9 or 10. I remember in middle school and high school playing Destiny, staying up till 6 a.m. doing raids on reset every Tuesday morning and then catching the bus at 7.
And it just never affected you?
It just never affected me. I was I made A's and B's in school. Never affected me. And then right now, or last season, I was top 10 ranked while working 4 days a week. I had to stop that though, because it definitely was affecting me at work. I was getting tired and dozing off at work. All right, 2 weeks of that, I'm good. 2 weeks, maybe I got 15 hours of sleep. Not good. Not healthy. Don't do that.
That's insane.
No, yeah, I will
that.
say the fact that he kept top 10 for as long as he did, especially at the beginning for those first 2 weeks.
It was rough.
That is a different type of grind to do it while working part-time. Because that's what ranked is it's
and I really
time
think
in. And you were putting that time it
wasn't the sleep that made me stop. It was more so that was when the cheaters were really rampant. And it kind of took away from it.
Yeah.
So I was, and that's when the zone crafting got huge. So I was getting passed up by people that weren't even really playing the game. They're account sharing and stuff. So it really demoralized it for me. So I was you know what? I'd rather just get sleep at this point.
Yeah, it completely just takes away any sort of joy that you have from actually gaining ground on whoever's in front of you, because you just know that it's just you're not even going up against somebody fair. It's just completely, I could definitely see why that would So you're saying it was less the sleep, more the cheating situation.
100%. 100%.
That is
If
crazy.
I would have saw that I was still at least like top 20, I'm like, oh yeah, this is easy. I just want to sleep tonight or tomorrow. I'll be all right.
So
I'm off on Friday.
what does your alarm situation look like on your phone? Like, do we've got just various times, like 4:18 a.m. Then we've got 2:16 p.m. Like we just got so many alarms you wouldn't even see.
Yeah, it scrolls. I don't know if you can.
Yeah,
Yeah, that looks like about like mine.
There's one
That
for every
actually looks
hour.
like-
I just saw 4:53. My joke
Yeah.
came true. I saw a 4:53 in there.
Yeah. There's times where you got to be awake at certain times, you know?
Yeah. See, that's the thing with me is like it's so hard for me to wake up at all. I just cannot wake up if I fall asleep when I'm
The
super
hardest
tired.
part is getting out of bed. Once you're up out of bed, it's easy.
Do you have a strat?
I get out. I just roll out. That's it.
You just roll.
Just
roll
roll out
on
of
the
bed like,
ground
all right,
and
I'm on the
just-
ground now. But sometimes the ground is kind of comfortable.
Damn, that's true.
So it does make it rough.
Yeah.
But the schedule I'm on right now, I'll stay awake till 6-7 a.m. and then sleep till about noon maybe, and then just repeat.
Damn. That is crazy. That is what.
And then I go to work at like 3 p.m. I work 3 till like 10:30, and then whenever I'm off from work, shower, eat, grind until 7-8 a.m., sleep till noon, 1, repeat.
What is the shortest stretch you've slept in the last? Let me go month. And what's the longest stretch you've slept in the last month?
The shortest, I would say, in a 3-day period, I slept 6 hours.
That's fucking crazy.
And
Well-
then the longest, my body will let me know whenever I need sleep. The longest I've slept was probably like 16, 17 hours.
God.
And that's after.
That was after.
Yeah, after that.
Yeah, they were
Like,
right
yo,
next
calm
to each
down.
other.
Yeah.
They were right
For
next
sure.
to each other. That is crazy, man. That's wild. Sometimes I wish I had that, but then other times I'm just like, well, you know.
There's times where I don't want to play the game and it's just, I'm just awake and it's like, what can I do? How can I be productive right now? Because I'm not tired. Mentally, I'm tired, but my body's like, nope, get up and do something. Go figure out something. Go walk outside.
Damn.
It's rough.
That's
It's a
crazy.
blessing and a curse, I'll say, for sure.
Damn. Wow. Okay. Well, you know
so, like,
what?
this new season coming up, I would say the first week I'm looking to at least like get 10 hours of sleep in the week.
That's crazy, but it's fair. I mean, if you're
Gotta
gonna
get that spot.
if there was any season where you're gonna just like deprive yourself of sleep, it'd
I
probably
think
be
it's
this one because there's so
Mhm.
many changes coming. Speaking of all the changes coming, it like I've seen a lot of negativity surrounding it, but I mean I've looked at it and I think there's a lot to be positive about because I
Mhm.
mean we've been basically playing the same game, obviously for what this is going to be the 4th or 5th year. Is this year
Mhm.
4 or year 5?
They celebrate like I think like the 5th birthday of
Yeah,
Apex
so
was like
this
a
is the
few days
5th
ago.
birthday.
Comes
It was
soon.
like this week or so.
I mean, it's based. I
last
mean,
week.
we're playing the same game. We're dropping in the same way. Now they're finally switching it on its head. They're saying we're going to change up the fact that we're going to bring in some perks now. We're also going to change up the way you can body swap, different things with the shields, bringing in some new game modes. I feel like this would be the season to do it. From your perspective, like, are you kind of excited for it, or are you on the I'm a little skeptical of all these changes?
I would say I'm a little skeptical, I'm not going to lie, because the way that they're changing the loot, there is not enough loot spawns in this game right now. So if you're adding more loot to the game, you're just going to create I guess, like a scarcity of certain loot. There's not going to be bats, there's not going to be certain guns, there's not going to be attachments. Like a bin has what, 4 things in it? You're adding back guns that were in the crafter, meds that were in the crafter, back like all these items that were in the crafter are going back to ground loot. So then it's taking up so much other loot that I feel like it's gonna mess up the loot for everyone, in my opinion. I think every other change is good, but I think the loot system will be worst for sure. I think it will be.
It's a great point because if you think about it, yeah, the two guns coming back to the ground, we've basically had two guns in the crafter that don't show up as ground loot for basically since just a season or two after the crafter was initiated. The only thing I can say against that is the fact that shields aren't going to spawn anymore. So you could maybe see it like flipping
Okay,
back
that's
a
fair.
little bit. But that's, I don't know, because it does make sense. Maybe the fact that the loot is just going to be much more diluted. Like it's going to be harder to find those top tier weapons because of the,
That's a better way to put it.
Yeah, I think that's probably going to be the toughest part, I think. I would agree with that. Is there anything you're extremely excited about?
I'm pretty excited just about everything that's coming. I would just say I'm cautious about it, about the whole loot situation. But other than that, everything sounds pretty good. I don't know how true the some of the perks are that that got leaked, but from what I'm seeing, it looks like it's going to be a pretty interesting change. It's like you said, a completely new game now. So it's going to be interesting to see how teams change. There's no more zone crafting, no more sitting in zone, leveling up to red armor. So it's going to force a lot more people to be productive in how they play the game.
And I think that translates over to competitive as well, right? Because I feel like not only in the way that you're going to see people using the perks and stuff like that, but also the way you're going to have interactions and different stuff like that. And also certain legends are now going to become hybrids, because I don't know about every single perk, but I do know that there's a few legends that are, say, a skirmisher that will be able to choose between scanning a survey beacon or a ring console. Which one do you want to go for? Like that's
That'll
going
be
to
interesting.
be very interesting to see how, the different hybrids are. And then on top of that, like you said, you can craft up to that red armor if you really wanted to. And some POIs come with the, the prowlers already there that you can shoot, or the spiders or whatever.
Yep.
That's going to be big because now that
I feel like a
upgrades your
lot more
armor.
teams are going to go not fight for crafters anymore. People are going to be fighting for spiders. People are going to be fiing for prowlers.
Not
People
that
are
boy
gonna want
Frex,
that
though.
Eva.
Did
Yeah,
you see that clip? That
I
was
actually
so
just saw
funny,
that clip
bro.
today.
I just saw it today too, and I was like, there ain't no way.
There's no way. You back them into a corner, shoot out a couple spider stacks, and it's over for them.
And for those who don't know what we're talking about, there's a clip today of somebody exposing that Frex for SSG apparently does not do spiders ever because of his arachnophobia.
Oh,
So he has a fear of spiders that apparently is so present that even spiders on a screen is a no
I
no
thought
fly
that was
zone.
a joke because I remember talking to him about it. We played Remnant 2 together. Like, we talked about that game. There's spiders in it, and he was freaking out about it. I was like, oh, he's just kidding. But then it comes up again, so I guess it's true. That blew my mind.
That's crazy. That is insane.
Nerfing him.
No, I mean that is a nerf. That is
a hard nerf.
That
It's
is
the Achilles
a
heel.
Storm Point nerf. If they happen to do worse on Storm Point, I think we got at least one.
We
thing
have
can
to point that out. Yeah, we're gonna have to keep that in the back
Have
of
to
our
dive
minds.
deep into that one. Keep it out of the rotation path.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna have to hard rotate through storm just to avoid spiders, stuff like that. It's gonna be crazy. But getting back to what I was saying though, is it is gonna be. It's interesting to see what's going to happen as far as competitive goes. And you guys just qualified, and now you're going to have, I guess this is what will keep you guys occupied as a team, answering my first question. You guys are going to have to figure out how to maneuver this brand new season 20. Have you guys had any conversations about that being all right, this is what we need to be doing after the season drops? Or is it just play the game a fuckload and we'll figure it out from there?
Pretty much just play the game and we'll kind of figure out. We're pretty comfortable on any characters, so we're not really stressing about it too much. It definitely is going to change the playstyle because this Challenger circuit, we sat in zone, we crafted red armors, we did the above and beyond to make sure we were fully kitted. So it's probably going to push us to play more of the original playstyle that we had, the hyper zone. But, we'll see whenever it comes to it. Maybe we can find out certain pathing and certain routes that we can take to establish maybe like a flex hybrid type of style of gameplay. But yeah, just play the game, see what works out for us, really.
And
Definitely interested to see some of the comps that come out, though.
I think we're gonna see some crazy ones, man. Like I
think
really
so as
do,
well.
like, because I'm almost 100% positive the perks that I've seen were correct, and I think it's gonna change a lot. I love the fact that we have these hybrid legends that are kind of leaking into other categories, because you can kind of look at them in a completely different way, and instead of this is a skirmisher, this is an assault, this is a controller, now you're saying, okay, well, there's controller tendencies on this skirmisher. We can get the best of both worlds of each of these if we really want to, or this is an attacking controller. It's just going to be fun to watch. It's going to be very fun to watch. You did just mention something right now that I kind of wanted to bring back up, because you guys had moved from this zone style to this edge, and I never got to ask, would you guys go back for when you have to do this split 2 qualifier? Would you guys go back to the zone playstyle, or do you want to keep trying out this edge?
I guess it really depends on the lobby. Like, going into it, we'll see what the lobby's like, where we have to play from. So if we have to play from a center POI, we'll probably go back to the hyper zone, because during the quarterfinals, we had to play from Harvester with our edge playstyle, and it just didn't work. So then we kind of just went and griefed another team to make sure we had a POI in finals, which we didn't even get that POI in finals. So it was just...
What POI did you want?
We wanted Climatizer, but people ended up qualifying anyways, so it just kind of... We didn't grief hard enough. Ham didn't have it in him. He wanted to just play the game. I wanted to just, follow this team, just be a nuisance to them, make sure they didn't qualify anything. But we ended up going Overlook and Lightning Rod, which never landed at Overlook. Last time I landed Overlook was 2022, so definitely been some time. But yeah, I think it just depends on the lobby. I think we're more comfortable on the hyper zone. Just it's pretty easy. Get a good spot. You wait 15 minutes, and you're in endgame.
You got to get bored though at some point.
Oh, we do. We keep ourselves occupied though. We'll tell jokes. We'll laugh.
Yeah, there you go.
We have a good time.
Yeah, it's one question.
We'll do a listen along.
Yeah.
A little Spotify listen along, get the vibes going right.
I like that. That's one question I've always wanted to ask the hyper zone teams, but I've never had the balls to do it. Now I feel like I can. Like when you're playing hyper zone, you've got to be thinking like, I'm so bored right now. Like,
I've gotten up and done laundry.
Really?
Yeah, I've changed changed my stuff from the washer to the dryer real quick. We're like, hold up, I gotta go get a drink.
That's
because I know nothing's gonna happen until like round 4,
especially in CC.
So,
where you're
just
there's not as many.
Even in Pro League,
dude, finals, dude, people were moving fast. Especially, dude. What's the secret to dealing with these fucking Rampart Loba guys? Because I'm not
close
gonna
the gap.
This shit is so
you gotta
annoying.
Close the gap. Trust me, I hate those people
every
too.
single time.
Anytime I'm on an evac, I'm dead.
Yeah,
I just know it.
You try pushing these guys, and you're getting sniped at by Trev. Then Cobra's got either a prowler or a fucking wingman every game.
Sheila's.
It's just like, what do you do?
You gotta play. You have to play their game. You have to go away from them, create distance, block their line of sight. That's about all you could do. And even when you try to create distance, I got longbowed out of the air. I was like 300 meters away. I was like, all right, what can I do? Good on him. He went crazy.
No, that boy Trev, he been putting the work with
the
them
amount
snipers.
of times I've died to him in the air. It's good, good for him. But I will say, once you get up close on them, that's when you can really shine on them. There are some long range demons for sure, though.
Yeah, I'm all good on unless you got any more.
Like you're good. All questions total.
Yeah, that was all I had.
All right. All right. So before I ask the question I ask everybody who comes on the pod, this one will be more specific just to you. What's the job routine? What keeps that thing so chiseled? Yeah, you got like mastic gum. You cranking?
No, that's just my mom. She gave me all the good genes.
Damn.
Yeah, Italian.
I didn't even
some
realize
Spanish
it
in
till
there.
now.
You
Yeah,
didn't realize that.
Damn.
Yeah, no mewing or anything. Mew free.
It's
Mew
No
free?
mewing. Mew
Okay.
free.
Nose breather though,
Yep.
for sure, right?
What is it?
Nose breather? You be breathing through your nose?
Yeah.
Yeah, gotta be.
Have to.
Damn.
That's so. I was not expecting that. That one caught me off.
It's what the people want to know. The people want to
It's
know.
Gosh.
All right, so the question that I ask everybody, because everybody we have on the pod is performing in the top 1%, and you've definitely been able to establish that for yourself throughout your career.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what is something you've learned along your journey to the top 1% that somebody, regardless of the field that they're pursuing in, that they could be able to take and then apply and help on their journey to reaching that?
Let's see. If you really want it, you gotta want it more than you. I mean, more than you want to like breathe or like. I live and breathe Apex. I love Apex so much. I've compared myself to others and done that, but just knowing that I'm in control of all my decisions, all my outcomes, just knowing if I put my head down and I grind, I will get done what I need to be done. So just keeping that mentality of just keep pushing. If something's in front of, like a wall is in front of me, break through it, go through another one, keep going, and just apply that to everything. If I don't want to wake up, I'll wake up. Don't slack. No slacking. Get after it. Don't waste a day. There's only limited time on this earth. Don't sit and you don't want to be regretting it 40, 30, 20 years later. Like, man, I wish I would have done something different. You know, don't live in regret. Live to where how this one caught me off guard, I'm not gonna lie. Live to where you have no regrets. You know, I'd rather say, oh well, you know, I failed at this, and I wonder what would have happened if I did this. You know, be okay with failing. Failing is just adding on to someone's success. Everyone fails, everyone succeeds. It's all part of growing. So just continuing to just get after it day and day is just something that I'm trying to live by more every day now, especially looking into like competing now. Just continue. Every day is a learning step, no matter what it is.
That's beautiful. That's great stuff. I love that. Well, Preslyy, it's been a pleasure having you on, my man. It truly is, and it's going to be
I've
cool
been a
to
big
see
fan,
you guys.
and I've been so excited to see your guys' success, Enoch's success, seeing him go from like nothing to surpassing friends. He's
What a
done.
legend.
Yeah,
What a
my legend.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
No,
thank you.
I have a lot of love for Enoch.
Thank
a lot
you so
of love
much.
for him. I appreciate
for,
it. Thank
for
you
the
guys.
listeners. For the listeners who don't know, me and Preslyy actually no communication, no nothing. We were like friends in like a friend group, and then it just so happened that I moved, and then like a few months later he moved, and we ended up moving 5 minutes away from each other. And
Actual
then
5 minutes.
so then
That's
so out of
crazy.
all of the people that I've met and like interacted with through Apex, like Presly's without a doubt the person I've spent like the most time with IRL and like just
he's
hanging
met my
out.
family and it's been great.
Bro, what the hell took us so long to get him on the show then? Like, what the hell is this?
We had to wait for the right time.
Hey, yeah, right time, right moment.
That's great. That's awesome. Well, Preslyy, once again, man, it truly is a pleasure, and we're about
Thank
to
you
see
for
how
having
this team's gonna do right now. Okay, we're excited. We're gonna
Above
see
and
how
beyond.
it goes. All right. I want to see what happens in split 2 in the qualifier. We're gonna be keeping a close eye, and hopefully,
I appreciate it.
not only do we get to land, but we get ourselves a trophy. That's what we're looking for.
Oh
here.
yes, that's the dream, to
Yeah.
hoist up the trophy for
Holding
sure.
up that trophy with that jawline,
With the
that
kill
picture.
leader too.
Oh, dude,
With
that's
the
gonna
kill leader.
that
Oh
picture's
yeah,
gonna go crazy. That's gonna be a
For
crazy
sure.
pick. Gonna be a crazy.
I'll be
pick.
on GQ.
That's right. That's right. That's right. All right, man. Once
See,
again,
that,
thanks for hopping
that
on.
just made a fire clip, because when that happens, boom. This
Boom,
clip,
right there.
viral.
Easy.
That's
Easy mode.
awesome.
Easy mode. All right, man. Once again, thanks for hopping on, man.
Thank you for having me. You guys have a great night.
All right, ladies and gents, that was Preslyy, the greatest jawline known to man. Hopped on the show. He was great. We love Preslyy. Shout out Preslyy for hopping on. We hope to see him succeed here in the future. Ladies and gents, we got a quick little topic of discussion before we get into the heart-to-heart and send you guys on the rest of your week. It was actually a big week for Respawn and Apex because it seemed like things were starting to get a little crazy. Things were going nuts with controller configs. Now, if you're not familiar with what configs are, it was basically something that you could go into. It was like a third-party software to kind of adjust and change things to where you could make your controller do very specific things to help you out. A lot of controller players were using configs for like tap strafing, but then it would go into another planet, another stratosphere, where people were using them for basically like, no recoil on shot, quicker climbing, all that different kind of stuff. Configs were getting a little crazy, a little out of control. So Respawn came out. They said, we are getting rid of configs. Let me pull up tweet really quickly here to be exact with what they said. It was right here. Heads up, Legends. We've been rolling out some changes to Play Apex to better protect the game's competitive integrity. We are making changes to remove automated strafing on controller, and we'll be making changes to prevent the chaining of CFG files via the plus exec command during game time. In other words, we are disabling the ability to use some configs that would allow for a greater range of movement than is usually possible within the game. We want to be clear, the use of third-party tools, hardware, firmware, or software that automates game mechanics for a competitive edge over other Apex players is considered cheating and is unacceptable. As such, we will continue to evaluate potential exploits and take further action as needed. So, E, what are your thoughts on the entire config situation here?
Yeah, so I mean, I was a tap strafe enjoyer. That shit was fun. It was a good time. Once I started thinking about doing CC, I stopped doing it. So I had actually stopped for like almost a month by the time that this thing had rolled around. So I'm not really too much affected by it. Definitely tap strafing on controller was fun. Really good time. Enjoyed it while I had it. But I do think that for the overall health of the game, it's much better if it's not a thing. Just because if everybody is rampantly running around doing just insane movement and then just one clipping with aim assist, it just overall will make the game a lot more unplayable, especially for like newer players. Dude, imagine being a new player hopping in and you got some guy running at you, tap strafing, neo strafing on Octane, one clipping you. Like, it's just it was definitely too strong. Fun, but too strong. And I'm definitely a fan that they took it out. I think it's a step in the right direction, and hopefully they can implement more things like this to get rid of the amount of people that we have using anti-recoil and other things in the game that give competitive advantages.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I feel like if you're a controller player not agreeing with this, I think that's a little suspect. Like, I just don't see a world where you can be like, yeah, it's good that they're getting rid of things that would take any sort of competitive integrity out of the game. I just don't see, like, you have to, at some point, you got to realize that we have aim assist already, and to be able to do a lot of these other things and change all these other things. It also goes into like a lot of times the controller player argument against M&K is that they have like different software that they can use for, you know, cheating and stuff like that. It's like, okay, well now you're doing the same thing. So, you know, I think if you have a problem with it, little suspect because at the end of the day, it's like you have to come to terms with the fact that there is limitations to each input. You have to be able to deal with whatever the limitations are. And if you're not willing to do it, then switch to the other input rather than trying to make yours the exact same as theirs. I just don't think that that's going to work out. But yeah, so that's basically so that was one of the bigger things that happened in the game. I think overall, this is just a net positive for the game. I also think it is better to have like the argument for input. I think it is like a decent argument to have because both sides have their advantages and their disadvantages, and I think it overall just makes, you know, it does get annoying sometimes seeing the M&K versus controller debate, but I think it's a fun debate for our game to have because it at least adds some fuel to the fire of why people are so passionate about the game. So, but overall, I'm very happy that the configs are gone. I think that was just a little bit over the top, in my humble opinion. Ladies
Yeah, it
and
was getting
gentlemen,
out of hand because, dude, there was literally there like you saw the video, right? Where it was like
Which one?
anti-recoil, tap strafe, like the auto 180 turn.
Oh yeah, I saw that
the
one.
auto armor swap. Like they basically made it so that like anything you could possibly do in the game that would require skill, they made a config for.
Mm-hmm.
And so it definitely like once I saw that, it's like I would say up until I saw that tweet, I was like, yeah, I don't think it's too big of a deal. And then once I saw that, I was like, all right, we got it. It's got to go.
Yeah,
We got it.
Yeah.
It's too far.
Yeah, I think there's an argument to be made too. Like just having the same movement as M&K isn't like the worst thing in the world, but when you add in the fact that they were doing all the other stuff, then it really sways back in the other direction. Be like, okay, this is crazy. Like this is maybe it is crazy that we have the same movement. So yeah, it's I think overall it's going to be a net positive for the game, especially like they knew that this season needed to be big for them. They have a lot of things in the pipeline, which, by the way, we'll talk season 20. We'll have a lot more breakdown in the coming weeks. We just wanted to make sure we hit all the bases with ALGS so far and Challenger Circuit. But we will hit all of that in the upcoming episodes when everything officially drops. But this season is going to be big. They need it to be big. There's a lot of new things they're implementing. I think that was like a big, dark, scary, gloomy cloud hanging over their head, being like, yo, we got to do something about this. And I'm glad they took the steps to take care of it and handle that moving forward for the integrity of the game. But okay, ladies and gents, that should just about do it here for that discussion. Let's round out the show this week with the heart to heart and send you guys into the rest of your week. Let's get it. All right, ladies and gents, it is heart to heart time. Heart to heart time. E, you want to go first or you want me to go first?
You got that.
I got that. Okay.
Mhm.
All right, heart to heart this week. I don't know, man. I feel pretty good. I've been trying to I know we've said grateful a lot on the heart to heart the last like couple weeks, couple months. But I was really trying to focus on that because I do think like to get deeper into it. It's like last week I really didn't feel like my performance on the show was very good. I didn't feel like I felt like I could have done more. And the numbers thing is always tough because numbers can really affect your daily life and it could be so many different circumstances that lead into like the number being smaller, but it does like take a hold sometimes. And I just felt like I could have done a lot better. I felt like I could have brought more heat and I didn't do it. Numbers showed, numbers reflected it. And I was like, damn, dude. And then I started to kind of like think back to like the gratefulness thing where there's a lot of terrible things going on in the world right now. And the fact that I am able to show up here every week and just be able to watch the ALGS, talk about it, and put this thing out and people actually listen and want to hear more, like that's just something I have to be grateful for, and just realize that not too many people get that opportunity. And it can get stressful a lot of times. It can really like ruin a week if something goes wrong or bad. Like it could just make you feel terrible. But when it's good, and it's good more often than not, it's great. So I just want to be more grateful as far as like just appreciating this. I also like I spent more time this week just looking up at the sky. Like it's been raining a lot this week in California, and I saw the blue sky for the first time in a while. I was like, damn, didn't realize how cool this thing was. I'm gonna start staring at this more. So that was another thing. When you're locked inside like an office all day and you don't get to see it, you realize like don't take that for granted, especially with the time change. I fucking hate time changes. I wish we would just get rid of daylight savings time, because when you go from daylight savings time, you're in the office literally until it's dark again. And when it's dark again, it just feels like the dreariness never goes away. You wake up and it's barely like light outside, and then when you leave, it's dark again, and it just feels like shit all the time. So I got to see roll up the shop doors, stare outside for a little bit, enjoy the sun. That was nice. That was nice. And I hate daylight savings time. Let's get rid of it. I want to walk outside after a tough day at work and see the sky and the sun before it goes down. That would be great. That would be so cool. That's my heart to heart. E, yours.
Yeah, I'm on that same wave. I mean, I would say at this point, I've got a decent amount of stuff going on, and like so much to the point that I don't necessarily know what the future is going to be holding for me in the next coming months. And so I'm just gonna take an approach with whatever comes and happens, with just absolute gratitude and appreciation and love, and just try to stay in that place as I go through all that I go through, and that I know that I'm gonna come out of it a better, like, stronger man, both like physically and mentally. Workout grind's been going well. Absolutely love that. Been hitting the sauna consistently. That's been cracked. Yeah, dude, I'm just like, if everything that I got going on were to just fall apart, like the fact that it even happened, it would be like more than enough. And so, yeah, I'm just gonna keep enjoying the ride, keep enjoying the process, and we'll see what happens.
There we go. There we go. Just enjoying it as we go along. Ladies and gents, that should just about do it this week for this edition of the Apex the Podcast. We've got a brand new season on the horizon, and there's going to be a ton of changes to competitive. I think every season there may be like a slight, like maybe one legend changes out for another. Maybe you change out one gun for another. This, I think, is going to be one of the biggest ones ever as far as theory crafting compositions goes, with the different perks, with, you know, all this stuff going down. It's going to be very interesting to see how competitive works out in the next coming weeks. So it's going to be great. We'll talk about it as it goes down, and you guys will get all the info when season 20 drops, and we will do our best to bring you the best competitive version of Apex that we can on this show. But ladies and gents, we'll catch you guys next week for another episode of the Apex the Podcast. See ya.